It's not necessarily about limiting opportunities for students. It's making sure that we're able to safeguard a safe and effective learning environment for students, because this is ultimately our opportunity to open more doors for students, whatever that happens to look like.
You're listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Oakes. This is our District Talk segment where we interview district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday shine online. Now, let's get back to the interview.
Hi, my name is Christina Resky-Madsen, Director of Secondary for Linwood Unified School District. We're an urban district located in LA County. We're composed of 18 schools and we have about 12,000 students.
Hello, my name's Curtis Kane. I'm the superintendent of the Rockwood School District. We are a suburban district just outside of St. Louis, Missouri. We have right around 20,000 students and right around 33 sites.
Hello, I'm Dr. Ramon Roberts. I'm superintendent of Saginaw Public Schools. We have approximately 5,000 students over 17 schools.
So the first question I have for you is, how has the prevalence of technology in the classroom impacted student learning and engagement?
There's been so much conversation around the pandemic and post-pandemic, more endemic phases in terms of impact. This is a situation actually began long before, right? This notion of technology truly becoming integrated into what we do on a daily basis, how we think, how we engage with students, and most importantly, how students engage with us. It's been an ongoing effort. So I would say it's just changed the fabric of what we do and how we go about doing it, right? It allows us to amplify and really become more efficient and more effective in connecting. But there are challenges, just like with any other tool, right? In terms of how do we most effectively use this. I will say this, I think technology is at its best when it's not used as a glorified worksheet, right? It's really allowing for deeper levels of connection and cognition that our students are engaging in.
So with the use of technology, we're able to see students do more collaboration through note-taking, projects, student presentations, collaboration through like Google platforms in our district, as well as students being able to share documents and presentations that way. We have translation support for a lot of our newcomers, our English learners, and students are able to do research with a wider lens and a multiple perspective. We have more supplemental resources than ever. Students are able to access videos about careers, events, places, virtual field trips that students can go anywhere imaginable. Our CTE courses have access to like recipes, medical logs, programming with the latest trends, and access to 24-hour tutoring anytime from anywhere, as well as communication with their counselors and their teachers at any time for both students and parents, and able to take courses online from community colleges as dual enrollment.
Technology is the one key tool that propels not only instruction, but also learning. It is going to be pivotal for us going forward as we continue to transform our school district into a 21st century learning environment for students, parents, as well as teachers. So it is the one tool that is pivotal for education going forward.
Now, how can school districts deal with social media issues that originate on social media apps, but then create a very real problem on campus, whether it's that afternoon or Monday morning when we go back to school?
Absolutely. These are situations that rarely occur during the heart of the school day. I will tell you this, it's something that you have to investigate, truly investigate, a deep dive to lock down as many facts as you possibly can, and then be very forthright with what's appropriate in terms of sharing with the community in terms of how things are ultimately progressing. You know, factual pieces of information that you've been able to highlight and ultimately illuminate, and then going through a process, as we do in so many different avenues, right? Just going through an investigative process so that we have a clear understanding of what actually factually occurred, which can be very different than what ultimately is being consumed 3 or 4 threads away from the initial onset of whatever happened to occur. I would also say this is a fantastic opportunity, if and when the situation calls for it, to actually connect with your law enforcement and other agencies. We have found that connection is really and truly a difference maker to get factual and very timely information out, not only through your social media threads, but also through other community, and in this case, law enforcement agencies, communicative avenues as well.
So this is an issue that all schools across the United States are dealing with right now, and it could be challenging. It will continue to be challenging. Some of the steps that we've taken here in Linwood is education. We've tried to educate our parents through parent awareness and workshops. We use our parent specialists to help do some of those awareness in regards to making sure parents are aware of the danger of students online and the digital responsibilities that students have. We also do a wellness day at our middle school because that tends to be the hotspot for a lot of our social media issues. And so we try to teach students the digital responsibilities they have and how they have a permanent print of anything that goes onto social media. So 20 years from now, when you go and apply for a job, an employer can go back and look at what you posted on social media when you were in middle school. So education is the first step. The other thing is monitor. We try to monitor on the back end. So we have a program called Gaggle that we run through Student Service Department, and they're able to monitor and look for like keywords that may arise to issues. They're able to monitor social media account and inappropriate behavior that's being conducted on social media. And so we run that then through our safety officers at the school sites and make sure that students are using that social media appropriately.
What we've tried to do in our school district is assign security staff to monitor social media sites. That way we are proactive as possible in trying to curb those incidents that may, spill into our schools. Once that happens, we try to make immediate contact to those students and families that are involved in hopes of resolving the issue before they physically enter our school buildings or campuses.
Can you provide some examples of how your students may have used their social media in a positive and productive way that may have benefited themselves or their community?
Increasingly, this is homeland for students, right? It's more of, I don't want to say an extended vacation for us, but it isn't necessarily our native land. You're going to find, even as early as elementary school, students that have a one-to-one device with them almost attached to their hip on a hourly basis. What we've been able to do is just leverage that and allow students a safe and monitored environment where they can actually just pursue their passions. Let me give you an example. We actually had a situation at one of our high schools this past school year where they engaged in, I guess the best way you could describe it would be an Instagram takeover for homecoming, right? They're literally able to put their footprint and shape the narrative that's being built around the homecoming activities and exercises that occurred in the fall. And then another example that had real meaning was actually a bit of a scientific investigation that occurred by a student. It's in one of our authentic science research courses. They actually engaged in some research to figure out how social media emotionally affects students. It was a deep dive, a very deep dive, very technical, a piece of research that they engaged in. But that's what they were looking to actually further and better understand. It's not necessarily about limiting opportunities for students. It's making sure that we're able to safeguard a safe and effective learning environment for students, because this is ultimately, right, our opportunity to open more doors for students, whatever that happens to look like. So these are two very, very different examples, right? One that is very socially focused, but one that also provides some academic grounding as well. And so just making sure we're there to provide those opportunities for students, it's another way that we're able to do that.
So one example that pops into mind immediately was this year we were in negotiations with our teachers, and our students really just took off and used social media to spread the word. So they came out and supported their teachers in regards to why we need to pay our teachers more. They were advocates for their teachers, which was really nice because we tend to be advocates for our students all the time. So that was a story that kind of pops into mind in regards to how they were able to collaborate and organize together. Students also use it for like advertising. A lot of our students are early entrepreneurs, and so they bake things or sell items, and so they use that. We actually have a former alumni student by the name of Axel who has his own company, and he spread his be kind message through the community, and that was really nice to see on social media. The community is very tight knit here in Linwood, so there's a lot of postings about what's happening in the community just to kind of bring awareness. There was also like if there was a death in the family, to support each other and come together in that way. And the alumni uses it as well to kind of communicate and stay together and up to date on issues coming about, or where they work, where they live, or fundraising for the foundation. So that's all nice to see that the community uses that in a positive way.
One example we have at one of our 612 buildings is our Gifted and Talented program. However, students utilize social media for research. Once they uploaded the research that they had done. And the research was on riptides. It was they were creating a mechanism to inform individuals that were on vacation or in certain bodies of water of how to read riptide so that it could eventually save lives.
Okay, so the next question I have for you is, in the age of one-to-one, how are you preparing students for positive technology use both in the classroom and at home?
It begins early. It begins in your primary grades. There's still some degree of, I'd say, fuzz as it relates to the appropriateness of a one-to-one device with a very, very early aged primary age student, right? What counts is you have a piece of technology, or in this case, a set of technology that a class can use with great frequency, which would be on a daily basis, but the teacher's directing what that in fact looks like. Once you get to grades, I would say 2 and on up, we're looking at a one-to-one initiative. And again, this is to amplify really solid instructional practices and pedagogy that students are experiencing on a daily basis. And it simply begins to magnify as students matriculate, as they work through a K-12 experience within the school district. Again, they are technological natives in so many different ways. Just an anecdotal story. We have a 6th grade son, and we also have a daughter that's going to be a junior in college. And watching the differences of how they attack, address, and utilize technology is not only reaffirming as a parent, but it's also a reminder as superintendent how deeply and how quickly this can be embedded if you have solid pedagogy that's in place. I don't believe that technology replaces solid pedagogy and specifically a very skilled practitioner, but when you marry the two of them together, absolutely amazing things can happen.
So one of the things we did here in Linwood is we've had one-to-one devices since before the pandemic, almost before 2020, where students get assigned a specific Chromebook, and they're actually responsible for that Chromebook while they're here. So it follows them from grade level to grade level. So this teaches them immediately to care for their Chromebook, because if they don't care for their Chromebook, they're not going to be able to use it for multiple years to access core instruction, to turn in their assignments, to access the Google Classrooms, which many of our teachers use. So that immediately forces them to take care of and use technology in a positive way, because if we see that they are not using that technology in a positive way, that is taken from them till they can show us that they are responsible enough to use those Chromebooks responsibly.
Yeah, great question. So the funny thing is, pre-COVID, we were already one-to-one. During COVID, for our student population, it was necessary for us to go 2-to-1. We needed a device in the home for our students as well as in the school so that they wouldn't have to transport their device back and forth once we moved back into hybrid or traditional instruction. That caused the need to not only instruct students on the appropriate use of technology, but also parents. And so we have what's called a family and community engagement specialist that provides training to families on the appropriate use of technology. They do individual training as parents, but we also do trainings as families. We do them both in person and also virtually.
Thanks for listening to our smartsocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Oakes. This was our District Talk segment where we interview school district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday launch into their future by shining online. This episode was brought to you by our smartsocial.com VIP program. It's called the Very Informed Parent Program, which helps you engage your students with teen-led video lessons. Stay one step ahead with our premium parent newsletter and discover hidden features on trending apps on teens' phones and our 54 plus live parent and student-friendly events every single year. You can click on the link below to chat with one of our team members if you want a free pass to our VIP program to support your community with our smartsocial.com resources. And if you're a district leader who has a success story, we would love to feature you on a future episode. You can click the links below to reach out. Thanks so much for listening, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Have a great day.